You are listening to the Fatboy Show, new number one station, RX Radio. And hey, Fatboy here, and Olive as well. Donning black today. We're both in black.
We have that thing we do. I don't know how we do it, but we do it.
People are going to suspect that we emerge from the same house every morning.
For some reason, we are always wearing the same color. It happens at least every week. It has to happen like once or twice.
It could just be, I don't know.
Telepathy?
Yes.
Okay.
Or maybe we just have similar tastes in
maybe
clothes
that.
or
Because when
colours.
I wear my bright red, you wear like a wine red. When I wear my black, you're wearing black. Who is copying the other?
I wonder. But since I'm older, you're probably copying me.
Oh, come on.
Well, earlier we were talking about how the president's going to be meeting with the members of the Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee of Parliament today to discuss the anti-homosexuality bill. The president wants to assent to it, but not before certain reviews have been done on the initial bill. Who knows? Does he want it to be tougher or lighter? I guess by the end of today, we will know exactly what shape the bill will take before it is signed by the president. But meanwhile, the European Parliament is castigating this Antigay Act that the president is going to be reviewing today with the members of the Legal Committee at Parliament. So in their statement, which they released on the 20th of April, the European MPs expressed deep concerns about the likely discrimination and prosecution against homosexuals should the act be signed into law, before calling upon President Museveni to refrain from assenting to it. The MPs went on to urge the European Commission to use all the necessary diplomatic, legal, and financial means. Financial means.
To
convince
and they know that's where they got us.
President Museveni to not accept the law. So, first of all, it's effed up. This is colonialism, part 2, literally. Or it's maybe the same old colonialism, because for them to turn the screws on us and compel us using force, diplomacy, or by whatever means to get our president to not sign into law a bill that received majority support among MPs.
And you remember that video by Candace Owen?
Yes.
She said, this is a country, it is a sovereign nation. Their parliament has agreed unanimously to pass this bill. So as the United States, she was referring to her country, why don't we just stay out of people's business? She was like, okay, the death penalty is excessive, but still, this is a country that has a right to make its own rules, and we might as well just for once mind our own business.
And she's right, because you see, here's the problem. Not every country has laws that everyone will agree with. Mm-hmm. There's probably laws in those countries, in Western countries, that Ugandans will disagree with.
Exactly.
For example, I meant to understand that polygamy is illegal in most Western countries. Like you cannot marry more than one person. Mm-hmm. Now, for us here in Africa, it's normal.
It's normal.
It's like it's nothing. A man marrying several wives, it's like just order of the day, and probably in many Arab countries.
And even in our laws, it is actually it's allowed. It's in Uganda, the marriages that are recognized. There is the church marriage. There is the the Islamic marriage. Then there is the
Hindu
civil,
marriage.
The Hindu.
Okay, so can you imagine if we marched on the streets and said America should decriminalize polygamy, that will let us defend the rights of people who want to love freely. Mm-hmm. If they want to be with someone they love, who is let's use their language. What right does the government have?
Love is love. If a man wants to marry more than 2 women, why not let him do it? Because he has a right. He can do it.
Exactly. And then maybe those who support polygamy, you can give them a whole month in the States. Their own pride month for polygamy. Americans
and the West at large will only frown upon African practices or values where their rights are being encroached upon. So now they want everyone to be gay. Good for them. But because Africans don't want them, now it's a human right. But let me tell you, we have had cases in Africa where we needed them to say something. I'll use Rwanda as an example. Those people died in 100 days, close to 1 million people. And what did they do? They watched. They kept silent. And now they're reminding us about human rights. What better human right is there than the preservation of life?
I can't think of another. Funny, the same people who would be supporting gay rights are also pro-abortion.
Mm-hmm.
So what about the
So
human
you want
rights
people to be
of
gay?
the unborn child?
So you want people to be gay, but then you also support women killing children. And for me, what unnerves me is that some of these countries and even some states in the US used to allow women to terminate 8-month-old pregnancies. Make that make sense, because as a person that has been pregnant before, I know that at 8 months, that's a baby. I can get contractions and I can push that baby or have a C-section. I have friends that have had premature babies that were born at 7 months. So you're here supporting a woman to terminate an 8-month-old pregnancy. And then you're telling us about human rights.
Exactly.
Come on.
Hypocrisy. It doesn't fly. It's just a gross hypocrisy. And I think they are unwittingly making the issue worse. And that's the problem with these Western activist people, is that they just can't help themselves. If they were to just keep quiet, apply no pressure, the issue they're complaining about might even go away quietly.
The president said we were minding our business. No one was hurting gay people until they started making it by force. You must recognize me by force. Actually, we do recognize them. I have interacted with gay people and I don't mind. What other people mind, like we've said several times, is you trying to come into someone's house and wanting to change the rules of that house. You don't do that. When you go to a workplace and you find that they have a set of rules and policies, you're going to follow those because that's what rules the organization. So you don't come into someone's country and say, oh, because this is what my country agrees with, then your country must agree with it because we said so.
So think of it this way. The people that are, if you look at someone like Pastor Sempa and like the vocal anti-gay, the vocal anti-gay activists like Pastor Sempa, they will speak of such a thing as a conspiracy or a gay agenda,
Yes.
and all these things. And everything those people are doing is just reinforcing that belief. Because if they have enough power to compel European governments to institute, for example, economic sanctions or apply diplomatic pressure, they're essentially telling us that, we have this much power, so you better not mess with us. So how are you this this powerless minority, yet you seem to hold so much sway in global geopolitics? It makes no sense.
I've always wondered what gives this minority so much power. And every time I bring up that question, the people I talk to normally come back with economics. They're like, they have the money, they control the purse strings, and because of that, they have power. And I'm like, okay, at what point do we cross the line? At what point do we draw the line and say this is enough, as much power you can get?
Well,
because it's like how you give me a handshake, but then I want to go past, the shoulder blade, so to speak.
For me, my own view is this. I don't think that it's gays themselves who hold the power, but the people who wish to use gays as a tool.
But to what end? What are they trying to achieve?
Subversion.
What are they trying to achieve? Because I would understand a gay person living their good life, dating
about
whoever
control.
they want to date, marrying whoever they want to date. I don't understand why you feel the need to forcefully make people accept things that don't make sense.
I think it's a power trip and just a tool of subversion. There are people who are power hungry who just want to feel like they can control people. I mean, if you look at, for example, many of the mandates that were instituted during the corona period, the forced masking and the lockdowns, a lot of it didn't make sense. First of all, from a common sense perspective, and as it turns out, even from a scientific perspective, there was no real evidence that proved that these measures were helping in any way. But for as long as you're giving people the tools with which they can suppress and oppress and control people, you just arouse the the lust of the power-hungry people who simply want to wield that in order to try to control you. Because I don't even really think, do you think Bill Gates cares about COVID killing people? I don't think so. But I think he cares about making a lot of money from the sale of the vaccines. He cares a lot about being able to control society. And similarly, these people that push gay this,
so when
trans this.
When these politicians like the European Parliament, when they push the gay agenda and even threaten political and economic sanctions, what do they stand to gain?
I think it's a power trip. They want to see society break down. They want to see traditional institutions collapse.
Isn't it weird though, because majority of these people are married and they're heterosexuals?
They may be, but politically they tend to be Marxist in their thinking. And Marxism rests on the idea of dismantling existing traditional institutions, the family, so that the state can be the religion, and the state can be in charge of everything. And I think they look at legislation such as this and utilize it, or rather, they look at the gay agenda as a way of subverting the traditional norms of society. And now, if you've noticed, the gay thing isn't even that big anymore. Now it's all trans.
Actually, I think gay people are nice people to begin with, and they mind their business. The people that are making the most noise are the trans people.
It's not so much the trans, but again, those who are using the trans.
Oh my God.
And giving the trans people.
So now, after the trans people, who are we going to be fronting the pedophiles?
You said it, not me. But I would not be surprised if that's the new.
Wow.
That's the new frontier, because there was a UNAIDS document that was publicized, and I don't know if I can find it real quick, but UNAIDS put out the document in which they want to decriminalize consensual sexual relations between adults and minors.
And decriminalize.
Yeah. Let me see if I can dig it up real quick.
So where are we headed to? Because if you're going to decriminalize sexual relations between adults and minors, what's going on?
Exactly. And the way they like to do it is they sneak, they'll have a document with 1,000 pages, and it'll just be somewhere, somewhere very small. And I don't know if I can find it, but it was being discussed on social media. People were really freaking out over it. Maybe if I find it, I'll share it with you later. But as far as the European Union or European MPs and them trying to use threats of sanctions or other financial intimidation tactics to compel our president to not assent to this bill, first of all, they're playing into the president's hands. That's number one. Number two, I don't think it's even going to help. So they should just keep quiet and mind their own business. Those are my thoughts anyway.